Hello, and welcome to the Babe Bulletin podcast, a podcast about empowerment, self-love, really anything that's going to make us feel like a babe. I'm Alicia. I am a boudoir photographer near Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I know a heck of a lot about self-love, self-confidence, and I'm excited to share what I know with you. I don't have a super duper happy, high energy intro for you guys today. It's going to be a few weeks before this episode comes out, but it is election week and misogyny has spiked quite a bit online. So I'm not feeling great, honestly. The Nick Fuentes audio, I can't seem to escape that. I don't know if you guys have heard that yet, but someone screaming, "Your body, my choice," in my face on a daily basis. Not been a fun week. I've seen the protests happening at Texas State. I've seen those signs saying women are property. Not fun. Not a great week. What I can say is that this feels like maybe it's an extinction burst, which I was not familiar with that term until recently. And it's kind of the idea that bad behavior escalates when a reward is removed. And like things get increasingly worse before behavior is changed, before things change. Because they know that things are changing. So maybe that's all this is. I pray to God that's what this is. Because I can't exist on the internet right now without seeing some horrible comments from men directed at women. And I know normally I try to keep these intros pretty light, positive, but that's just not really how I'm feeling today. It is hard to exist right now. And it does not feel good to see a spike in violence against women online right now. So, with that said, even though things feel like they're kind of spiraling and maybe a little bit outside of our control right now, I think the right thing to do is to focus on what is in our control and what we do have power over. And one of those things for me is at least the way that I feel about my own body. That is something that I can control. The kindness that I show myself, that is something that I can control. The way that I speak about myself, that is something that I can control. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. I want to chat about body liberation, which is a word that gets thrown around in self-love and, radical body acceptance spaces. But if you've only heard that phrase and you don't really know what that means, it's not super helpful. So let's break it down. Let's talk about what body liberation is. And let's see if we can get you feeling more liberated in your own body. And maybe you can walk away feeling like you have a little more control over at least something today. So body liberation, it's a movement, right? It's got the word liberation in it. So we're trying to free ourselves from something. What is that something? Well, it would be oppressive beauty standards that have been imposed on people by our culture and our society. Body liberation is a movement that encourages acceptance of their bodies, love of their bodies, and we don't put some kind of limitation on how that acceptance or love occurs. So we want people feeling, good in their bodies regardless of size, shape, race, etc. It is a movement that seeks to empower people to feel more comfortable in their skin and to celebrate the things that make them unique. It's important because it's going to create a more inclusive and accepting society. That's why we need body liberation. Because when we feel good in our bodies, regardless of what it looks like, we should be treating other people and their bodies with kindness, love, and acceptance. When we practice body liberation, what we're really doing is breaking down body shaming. We're telling that inner critic, I don't want you here. We're telling fat phobia, I don't want you to be a part of my life. We are talking to every cultural, unrealistic beauty standard that's been imposed on us for so long. You're not running my life anymore. I'm not going to dictate my success or my happiness based on standards I did not set for myself. Body liberation is creating a more positive body image for each individual, and it encourages people to be proud of their bodies, regardless of what our society or country is telling people. It's creating more equitable society as well. We're not talking equality here, we're talking equity here. So when I want the playing field to be fair for people, it means sometimes other people have to be given more, right? The example that I always see when we're talking about equity is like if someone who's 6 feet and someone who's 4 feet are both trying to look over a fence, we're going to give the person who's 4 feet a box to stand on. Now, the person who's 6 feet tall might say, well, that's not fair. I didn't get a box. And it's like, well, yeah, but you didn't need one. You're able to look over the fence. The person who's 4 feet needed the box to stand on. That's what body liberation is trying to do. It challenges oppressive beauty standards, and some people are going to be experiencing more of those oppressive beauty standards than others. Particularly, these beauty standards do tend to be directed at women and other marginalized groups. But anybody can experience an oppressive beauty standard. That's for sure. When we're talking about body liberation, it's important because it's going to create a more inclusive and accepting society where ideally all people of different, sizes and shapes feel comfortable and accepted. And that's really what we want, right? That's what I want. That's what I am expecting of other people. That's what I hope to see in the future. I certainly don't want little kids that are running around right now to feel oppressed in their bodies by BS societal expectations when they get to be my age. I don't want that for them. I don't want my best friend's daughter growing up in a world that's telling her she only has value if she looks like this and does this. And we don't want that. I think we don't want that. I don't know. It's been a week, but I'm pretty sure we don't want that. So that's why we need body liberation. That's why this is so important. It goes beyond just self-love. It goes beyond just the way that you feel about yourself. That's a starting point. That's a jumping off point, but it's creating that equitable world that we actually want. And it's doing so by creating a more compassionate society, which I would hope we all agree we could definitely use more of, right? Compassion is not a bad thing. So why not pump more of it into our society when we are more understanding and accepting of one another? Obviously, the world becomes a better place. When we are more accepting of ourselves, we can become more accepting of others. And we're more likely to treat other people with respect and kindness. And that's the end goal, right? That's the end game. To treat others with respect and kindness. I mean, in short, this movement it's vital because we are challenging oppressive beauty standards, which are often rooted in anti-Blackness and fat phobia and racism and misogyny. We don't want that anymore. Body liberation is striving to create this inclusive and accepting society that we actually do need. Doesn't that sound lovely? Yeah, I think that sounds amazing. If you hear the phrase body liberation now moving forward, just please know, when you hear it, I want you to think like, oh, this is a movement that encourages people to accept and love their bodies. Great. this is also a movement that empowers other people to feel comfortable in their own skin and accept other people. When we practice self-love, we are creating a better relationship with ourselves, but it's not necessarily doing anything for the community. When we practice, or when we join the body liberation movement, now we're fighting for body equity. And we can make this world just a brighter and better place for all bodies. And I think that's what we need. At the end of the day, I really think that is what we need. So hopefully now you know what that word means. And when you are hanging out in these spaces and you come across the phrase body liberation, you're like, I have been educated. I know what that means. And I want to be a part of this movement. And I'm glad you're here. And I would hope that if you're listening to this podcast, you do want more of that in your life. You do want more body liberation. So I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you checked out this episode. I know this wasn't a super duper long one, but you know, a definition of a phrase, I can only talk about it for so long without, I don't know, boring everyone. I just want to make sure that we're all feeling good about this definition and we know what we're talking about now. So thank you for being here. If you do want to check out more of what I'm doing at Buxom Boudoir and what I'm doing in the body liberation space, you can find my studio at buxomboudoir.com. You can find me on Facebook at Buxom Boudoir. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Pinterest. I'm all over the place. So come say hi, hang out, leave a comment on one of my posts, start a conversation with me. I would love to talk with you. You can also rate and comment on this podcast, and that's super duper helpful. When you leave a review, it helps us move up in the charts. When you give us a rating, it helps me move up in the charts, and I would love you forever if you did that. So if you have 2 minutes, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, if you just came here to learn a little bit, that is cool too. I'm glad that you're here. Let's jump into the babe of the week. And we actually have 2. So while this election week has been stressful for a lot of people, I do have some folks that I want to celebrate. The U.S. is going to have 2 Black women serving as senators for the very first time in history. So congrats to them. Democrats Lisa Blunt Rochester from Delaware and Angela also Brooks from Maryland both won, and they're going to be serving on our Senate at the same time. And like I said, this is the first time in history that has ever happened. So, woo! Blunt Rochester, who's from Delaware, is going to be the first woman and the first Black senator to represent her state. That's amazing. Also, Brooks is the first Black senator from her state, Maryland. Also incredible. Like, look at these women just breaking through barriers, breaking through a glass ceiling, which I know I mentioned Nick Fuentes at the start of this, who said that there is no glass ceiling. There is a brick ceiling, and women will continue to smash their faces against it forever. Wrong. Like, that's just wrong. Look at these 2 women doing incredible things. While other Black women have served on the U.S. Senate, there's never been more than 1 Black woman in the Senate at a time. And that is worth celebrating. That is worth honoring. That is badass. That's a babe move if I've ever seen one. That's freaking great. So I think we should be incredibly proud of these women. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for their states. And I cannot wait to see what they do with their historic win. Check them out. Go learn about them. Oh, one other quick thing. They became friends during their campaigns. And I guess when they would like text each other, they referred to themselves as sister senators to be. And I think that is so freaking cute. I love that. We love seeing besties. We love seeing people become friends. And Even more than that, I just cannot wait to see what they do for their states. So congrats again to Blunt Rochester and also Brooks. Congrats very much to them. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I am sending you all as good of vibes as I possibly can. I am sending you all the love that I have right now. And even though life seems really tough, please know that you are so much tougher. I will leave you with that. Bye.